Hello there, I'm Karen and I'm the Operations Manager at Wales Gene Park, and I've been asked to answer some questions about my career. So the first question was, what do I do for a living? Um, as I said, I'm the Operations Manager at Wales Gene Park, and this means that I'm employed by Cardiff University as a manager, and my job is to oversee and promote and report on the activities of Wales Gene Park. So what's Welsh Gene Park? Well, Welsh Gene Park is an infrastructure support group funded by Welsh Government through Health and Care Research Wales. And this means that we receive funds that we can support, promote and perform healthcare related genetic and genomic research. But we also work to engage with the public and health professionals to improve understanding of the opportunities and the challenges that arise through genetics and genomics. So the next question, what is my profession? And I consider myself to be a researcher and an academic as well as being a manager. But it's fair to say that I didn't set out to become a manager. I think, in fact, like many people, I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school. Um, I took 3 A levels, biology, chemistry, and maths. And biology was by far my favourite subject. And I was lucky enough to get a position or a place to study applied biology at Bath University. And it was during my degree that I was particularly drawn to genetics and developmental biology as a topic. And I was lucky enough to take a year's professional training working at the Institute of Medical Genetics in Cardiff as part of my degree. In my placement, I worked on a project that used samples collected from patients with a rare genetic disease called Rett syndrome, and they didn't really know what the cause of that disease was. And my job was I was working in the molecular biology lab trying to identify what the genetic cause of that disease was. And I think it was during that time that I decided actually for a career, what I wanted to be able to do was work in a lab setting and to undertake research and contribute knowledge to this area. So do I need A-levels or a degree to work in my profession? Yes, I did. I needed to have a degree to work as a researcher. Um, and after my degree, I initially tried to find jobs as a lab technician, but I received feedback that if I was really wanting to consider being a researcher and doing research as a career, that I'd need to consider taking or obtaining a PhD. So I looked in the New Scientist magazine for advertised PhD positions, and I applied for the ones that I found that looked interesting. And I was fortunate enough to be accepted on one at the Babraham Institute in Cambridge. And here my research again was looking at another rare genetic disease and the factors, particularly in the genetic realm, that were contributed to the that disease progression and the symptoms that you see in that disease. But this time, rather than working with samples from patients with that disease, I was actually working on an animal model of that disease. After I completed my PhD, I stayed on in Cambridge for a bit and worked as a postdoc and wrote up that research and published it. But then I decided, for personal reasons, I wanted to move back to South Wales, which is where I'm from. And I was sent my CV and looked for many different positions to different research groups in the area and managed to land a job working in a cancer biology group. Again, using animal models of disease, but this time the research was focusing on the genetic factors that could contribute to cancer initiation and development, mainly in the intestine, but also in some other tissues as well, such as the liver and in breast cancer. So the majority of my career, I worked as a cancer biology researcher funded by Cancer Research UK. It was in 2017 that I moved out of the lab and took on the management role that I've got today. And I think that was mainly driven because of a lack of secure funding for the lab research that I was doing. So the next question, what does a typical day look like for me? Well, it's very varied, but I am now office based, and these days that means working from home. I sit in front of my computer a lot. I have lots of different meetings with people, mainly these days on Zoom or Teams. But those people are a variety of different people, mainly researchers, to discuss what Wales Gene Park can be doing to help support their research plans. I sit and I put quotes together for the work, how much it's going to cost to do genetic sequencing, for example, for a project. I can write letters of support for people for their grant applications. I also give talks to promote what Gene Park is doing. and I can give community talks to publics to help them understand what genetics and genomics is about. I write reports to the Welsh Government to tell them what GenePark is doing and what difference that is making to people. I'm quite lucky that I can get to do some teaching, mainly with medic undergraduate students, because Welsh GenePark is embedded within the School of Medicine within Cardiff University. But I also get to give public talks about the work I'm doing. And I'm able to maintain some of my own research interests by working collaboratively with other people. And I co-supervise some PhD students whose work is now looking at some of the genetic factors that can cause rare inherited forms of cancers. And their research is looking at what other factors cause these diseases and how can we best treat or manage these diseases. So the next question is, what got me interested in science? Well, by very nature, the fact that science is more practical, that is what appealed to me, really. I didn't like, and I still don't like reading and writing that much. I prefer doing things, activity doing stuff. And I think that's why I ended up going down the science route. I was naturally quite good at maths as well. I enjoyed maths. So that's why I ended up, it's what interested me. It's what I enjoyed doing and learning about. So what's the most useful thing that I learned in school and college? It's a difficult one. I think perhaps not to be afraid to ask questions, to be inquisitive, to follow paths that interested me, and to work hard. Those exams didn't come easy. I had to sit down and really work hard at passing them. What's my biggest achievement today? Well, aside from being a mum of 3 children and getting my PhD, that was a pretty big achievement. I also get a lot of satisfaction being a mentor and supervising other people, helping others to achieve their career goals. That's pretty hard to beat. The best thing about my job, I think it's the variety of the activities I get to do. The fact that I get to talk to and meet lots of different people. I enjoy meeting people. And I get to work with lots of different people. I like the fact that our role is supporting colleagues. And it's great to see how what we do can help other people achieve. So what do I like least about my job? Report writing, grant writing. I'm not really a fan of that. As I said, I didn't like reading and writing. There's can be politics involved that I'm not particularly keen on, but I think the benefits of the job outweigh those negative parts. What attracted me to my job role? Well, I'd worked with some people from Welsh GenePark in the past. I knew about their excellent reputation in public engagement work. And I had experience of working with them at events that they'd organised. I'd given talks for some school events that they'd organised. And really, I wanted to be part of that team. It was also an opportunity for me to develop personally, to do something other than the lab work, gain new skills in management. So it's a stepping stone in career progression too. That was an attractive part of the role. So if I could change anything about my career, what would it be? I don't think I'd change anything. So far, I'm really happy in how my career has panned out. I've managed to stay employed. I've enjoyed what I'm doing, and it's really interesting stuff. So what qualities do I think I need for my profession? Good communication skills. I think that is really fundamentally key to the role I do. I think I need to be organised. A good degree of empathy and understanding what other people are needing from our roles. As a researcher, I think you really need to combine a creativity skills, thinking up new ideas, working collaboratively with people, but being quite methodical in your processes, good note keeping, record keeping, that kind of things. What's the most exciting thing that I'm working on? Well, currently, I personally am involved in a new public engagement project called Jam the Mess. And this is working with some game developers, and they are trying to develop a new game that can help explain what is cancer, how it develops, where it comes from, and how we can treat it. And that is a really cool and an exciting project to be involved with. So that's answered all the questions that were set for me. I hope that's of interest, and I'm happy for people to reach out and get in touch if you're wanting to know more. Lovely. Thank you very much. Bye.